What if I told you there's a car show so exclusive, people drop thousands just to get in before even touching the champagne bar? Welcome to the Quail, the jewel of Monterey Car Week, where the rarest, wildest, and most jaw-dropping machines on the planet gather on a golf course that suddenly feels more like a billionaire's garage. This year, 17 Ferrari F50s rolled in to celebrate their 30th birthday. Yes, 17 in one place. But the F50s were just the beginning. From timeless classics to futuristic exotics, the Quail served up a buffet of automotive greatness. So buckle up, here are the 10 coolest cars at the Quail that stole the show. Number 10. The Lexus Sport Concept. And wow, nobody saw this one coming. Lexus rolled up with a surprise debut that looks less like a concept and more like a, hey, here's our next supercar. We've already seen camouflaged prototypes tearing up Goodwood, but this was our first real look, and it did not disappoint. The proportions? Pure classic sports car. The detailing? Sharp enough to cut glass. Sure, a few wild design cues will probably get dialed back before production, but if the road car looks anything close to this, it's gonna turn heads everywhere. Now, Lexus is keeping quiet on the numbers, but whispers point to a twin-turbo V8 with north of 600 horsepower. In other words, it's bringing serious firepower. And if it's anywhere near as memorable as the LC500 or as legendary as the LFA, this thing could be Lexus's next cult classic. Number 9. The Aston Martin 177. Limited, legendary, and still ludicrously gorgeous. Here's why it ranks here. Rarity meets presence. Only 77 built, a naturally aspirated V12 that doesn't just sing, it belts an opera. And a design that looks like it stepped out of a concept sketch and refused to age a day. But there's more than beauty. The 177 feels surprisingly raw for an Aston. Less gentleman's GT, more clenched jaw supercar. The steering talks, the chassis bites, the engine shouts. It's dramatic in a way that modern hybrid hypermachines sometimes aren't. Why not higher? Exclusivity and romance, yes, but tech and outright performance have moved on. Compared to something like a P1, it's more grand tourer than track assassin. Still, when one glides through downtown Carmel and then snarls at the Quail, it reminds everyone, this is a true event car. In short, timeless design, visceral V12, big theater. The 177 earns its spot by making every arrival feel like a premiere. Number 8. Bugatti Brouillard. Subtle? Not even trying. This thing is neon-level confident. Here's the logic. It ranks for 3 reasons: rarity, design drama, and what it represents for Bugatti. Think of it as a coupified take on the roofless Mistral, already a wild spin on the Chiron, but with its own headline features. Dual roof scoops like jet intakes and stacked vertical exhausts that look straight out of a sci-fi wind tunnel. And the kicker? It's a true one-off, the only Brouillard that will ever exist. It also debuts Bugatti's new ultra-bespoke coach-building program, promising no more than 2 completely unique creations per year. That's rarer than rare. Why not higher? Because while the exclusivity meter is broken in the best way, the fundamentals still orbit the familiar Chiron Mistral universe. Incredible, yes, but not a clean sheet revelation. Price? Not public. Rumors whisper around $20 million. At that point, you're not just buying a car, you're commissioning a legend with a paint job that could probably be seen from space. Number 7. Alfa Romeo Disco Volante, the art piece that just happens to have a license plate. Here's why it lands here. It's coach-built by Touring Superleggera on the already stunning AC, which is like starting with gelato and somehow making it richer. Only 15 made, and just 8 coupes. That's rarer than most hypercars, with a lot more romance. Under the sculpted curves, it's pure 8C, a 4.7-liter V8 with 450 horsepower and an exhaust note that sounds like an Italian tenor clearing his throat. So no, it's not the quickest thing on this list, but it doesn't need to be. This one's about emotion, craftsmanship, and that unmistakable silhouette. This particular spec nails the brief. Understated metallic gray outside, bright blue leather inside. Low-key on the curb, loud when the door opens. It's the kind of car photos never quite capture. You have to see those lines in person to get it. Why not higher? Performance is familiar, not groundbreaking. But as a rolling sculpture with real pedigree, the Disco Volante absolutely deserves its spot. It's rare, it's gorgeous, and it's unapologetically Italian. Number 6. Mazda 787B, the legend that screams its way into history. Here's the logic. It ranks this high because it did what no other Japanese car had done at the time: win the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1991. That wasn't luck. That was peak Group C brilliance wrapped in orange and green fury. Looks? Purposeful and gorgeous in that endurance racer way. But the real magic is the soundtrack, a rotary engine that doesn't just rev, it howls. It's mechanical opera at 10,000 RPM. If there's one car you need to hear before you shuffle off this mortal coil, it's this one. Why not higher? It's pure race car, not a road-legal unicorn you can actually drive to coffee. But for engineering audacity, motorsport pedigree, and a noise that can raise the dead, the 787B absolutely earns its spot. It's Mazda at maximum madness. Number 5. Gordon Murray Special Vehicles S1 LM. The purist's fever dream turned up to 12,100 RPM. Here's the logic. It ranks this high because it bridges eras. The spirit of the McLaren F1 LM, reimagined by the very mastermind behind the original F1 recipe. It's not nostalgia, it's evolution. Under the skin, it shares DNA with the T50, but this is no parts bin special. The Cosworth V12 is punched out to 4.3 liters, now making 690 horsepower, screaming to a stratospheric 12,100 RPM. Manual gearbox, central driving position, the whole driver-first ethos distilled and intensified. Design-wise, it nails the brief. Modern LM attitude without cosplay. Clean surfaces, functional aero, zero fluff. It looks fast standing still, and faster once the tack swings. Why not higher? Because as jaw-dropping as it is, it's ultra-limited and ultra-theoretical for most enthusiasts. Only 5 exist, all commissioned by a single client. It's a symphony only a billionaire orchestra gets to hear. But as a statement about lightweight engineering, mechanical purity, and Murray's unwavering philosophy, the S1 LM is sensational. It's the kind of car that reminds everyone why the analog ideal still matters. Number 4. The Ferrari F50 in Argento Nürburgring. And yes, that silver is doing some serious heavy lifting. Here's the logic. Among Ferrari icons, the F40 gets the headlines, but the F50 brings the romance. F1-derived V12, open-top drama, and those flowing organic lines. This one climbs the list not just for the hardware, but for the spec. Only 4 F50s left the factory in Argento Nürburgring, and seeing one in person is like spotting a unicorn that also happens to redline. Why it stands out? The silver isn't just classy, it sculpts the body. Every curve, every intake, every crease pops. The contrasting headlight inserts add a purposeful race car edge you don't get on red or black cars. And the yellow seat inserts? Chef's kiss. Just the right dash of flair without stepping on the elegance. Why not higher? Purely a matter of context. In a field stacked with bleeding-edge tech and one-off moonshots, the F50 is slightly more timeless masterpiece than new revelation. But with the roof off and that V12 singing, it makes a case that's hard to argue with. Verdict? Rare color, perfect proportions, open-air V12 theater. This F50 is sophistication with a wild side, and it absolutely earns its spot. Number 3. Koenigsegg CC Prototype, the spark that lit the Swedish hypercar wildfire. Here's the logic. It ranks this high because it's ground zero for one of the most innovative brands in the game. Built in 1994, this rough-cut gem paved the way for the CC8S and everything that followed. Without this car, there's no Agera, no Jesko, no mind-bending Koenigsegg tech. What makes it special? The DNA is all here. The teardrop canopy, the muscular rear haunches, and yes, the now iconic dihedral synchrohelix doors. Not fully refined at this stage, but already stealing the show. You can trace a straight line from this prototype to today's record breakers. Why not higher? It's more blueprint than finished symphony. A historically important prototype, not the ultimate execution. But that's exactly why it matters. It's the origin story made metal. In short, foundational design, unmistakable Koenigsegg identity, and a clear preview of greatness. The CC prototype earns its spot by being the first chapter in a legend. Number 2. The road-legal Lamborghini Sesto Elemento. Yes, road legal, and yes, that's as wild as it sounds. Here's the logic. It ranks this high because it's a unicorn made even rarer. The original 2010 Sesto Elemento was a track-only fever dream. Gallardo Superleggera bones, 570 horsepower V10, and a carbon fiber obsession that hacked weight down to around 2,200 pounds. Instant icon. Planned for 20 units, with far fewer believed to exist and none for the street. Which is why this one matters. It's one of just 2 converted for road use by Lanzante, the same wizards known for making the impossible registerable. That cranks the rarity to absurd levels and turns a poster car into something that can rumble through Big Sur on a Tuesday. The details? Outrageous. Top exit carbon fiber exhausts that look like a jetpack. An interior so committed to lightness, the dashboard is basically a hollowed space with exposed carbon structure and controls bolted on. It's not just minimal, it's militant. Why not number 1? Because as jaw-dropping as it is, it's still a derivative of the Gallardo architecture, a masterpiece of materials and weight, not a clean sheet revolution. But as a street-legal track monster with mythic scarcity, it's practically automotive folklore on license plates. Bottom line, insane weight, insane looks, legally on the road. The Sesto Elemento just rewrote the definition of special. Number 1. Ferrari F50 GT, the F50 that went feral. Here's the logic. It takes everything great about the road car and dials it up to race team lost the plot. Only 3 exist. Built for GT1 glory, sidelined by rule changes before it could swing. That rarity plus unreal intent puts it at the top. What makes it king? The hardware is bonkers. A screaming 750 horsepower V12 with F1 roots revving to 11,000 RPM. Power peaking at 10,500 RPM. That's not an engine, that's a chainsaw aria. Then there's the Aero, a colossal rear wing and stripped cabin that shouts lap times first, everything else second. Why it beats the rest? It's not just exclusive, it's consequential. A snapshot of the wildest GT1 era that almost was. The fact it never raced somehow makes it even more mythical, like a caged thunderstorm finally let out for a concourse day pass. It took best of show for a reason. The F50 GT is the ultimate expression of 90s Ferrari fury. Rarer, louder, purer. A unicorn with race fuel in its veins.